According to the U.S. Supreme Court, protecting the due process for youth is one of our most important obligations as a society. They have ruled that having a lawyer for youth is just as important as one for an adult. Yet research shows that nearly 45% of kids in Colorado never actually talk to an attorney. Everybody thinks it's other people's kids until it happens to you.
You're shackled at the ankles and you're chained together with other kids, marched into the courtroom in front of the judge, and nobody is there to represent you.
You wouldn't allow your child to be sick without being treated like by a doctor. Take them to the doctor. This is a very similar situation. You have a child that is in trouble and has a very particular need that a specialist, meaning a lawyer, can help them through and get them the best resolution possible. My son first received a citation at school from a school resource officer, and that was his introduction into the juvenile justice system. We literally sat down with the DA and worked out a plea agreement without having a full perspective of the collateral consequences.
In 1967, the United States Supreme Court in Enroy Galt ruled that juveniles should have representation at all stages in juvenile delinquency proceedings under the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution.
You know, the Supreme Court decision made a big difference in terms of philosophy. The problem in this country is resources, and access requires money.
And the Supreme Court at that time recognized that those safeguards should apply to children just as much as they do adults.
In 2013, the Colorado Juvenile Defender Coalition embarked on a comprehensive court-watching program. Their groundbreaking research shows that 45% of juveniles in Colorado never talk to an attorney at all, and in some counties it's closer to 60%. We can do better.
I don't believe that a constitutional right to have counsel was upheld for my son.
Children need to be held accountable for their actions, but in ways that are fair and promote their development. Without a lawyer, kids may agree to a plea deal they don't understand.
The focus of the juvenile justice system is rehabilitation and the ability of redemption, and you need the lawyer to be able to navigate the system to get there.
A kid who's fortunate enough to have access to counsel is going to go through this process relatively smoothly. A kid who doesn't have access to counsel, he is more likely to wind up with results that aren't good for him, that aren't good for his family, and that are going to have negative impacts on his future.
I think that we need to have a lawyer who can understand issues that we're going through so that they can be our voice in court, because that's what we need.
I've probably sat through maybe 200 juvenile cases being heard. There's no advocacy for your child. You're not an attorney, you don't understand the law, the juvenile system is pretty complex, and so you think you've done the best thing for your child and you've gotten the best deal. And then you find out that you haven't.
In most instances, they're not equipped to really understand the intricacies of law.
And when you have a lawyer there, and I've seen this time and time again, it totally changes the game.
As a judge, I can hold a juvenile without bond or bail, hold them in custody in a facility like this. So can you imagine a juvenile sitting there by themselves, their parents in the courtroom, that's going to be held in custody with absolutely no defense representation? It's just unthinkable to me.
When I tell a parent, you can go down and watch young children be in jumpsuits, shackles, and chains in the state of Colorado for misdemeanor crimes, that aren't just appalled at that.
And so the whole shackling process really is cutting their human qualities out as young kids, and that stays with you for the rest of your life.
We're talking about children's futures. They're going to suffer collateral consequences that can change the whole course of their lives.
You know, you are going to have that on your record. That's going to follow you when you apply for college. That's going to follow you when you apply for a job.
There is a solution here because Denver and Boulder counties do have public defenders at all detention hearings and in the courtroom available to juveniles that qualify.
And no matter what the cost is, it really will pay for itself in the long run.
I don't see any way around that other than having a lawyer advising the child. The people that are being protected can't vote. So it's up to the legislature to make the determination as to what we need to do to make our children the best they possibly can be.
Why don't kids have a lawyer?
Why don't kids have lawyers?
Why don't kids have a lawyer?
Why don't kids have a lawyer?
The Colorado Juvenile Defender Coalition has been leading the effort to provide greater access to a lawyer for youth. Their research shows promising approaches and innovative practices for ensuring due process. For more information, or if you have a story to share about not having a lawyer, please go to www.cjdc.org.